Hello there, Survivor! Welcome back to another ARK Survival Ascended video. Today, I'm doing a build tutorial for this underwater modern tech base that I've made. You can do this on official as well with a few exceptions, but I will be talking about the exceptions in the tutorial. Don't worry, for the most part of it, you can build this exactly as is on official. As far as I know, I've never played official, but from what I've heard from comments, I think I know the problems that you usually get with some of these build tutorials. It's actually quite a simple build. It might not look like it, but it's actually quite simple, so you should be able to build this relatively easily. But of course, very important, you do need to have tech unlocked to be able to build this. Okay, to get started, we basically want to build a big box out of the vacuum compartments, being 9 by 5. So wherever you want to build, find a nice platform like this, and then we can build our box along it. So we want to make it 5 deep, like so, and then 9 long. So something like this should be the length and width, and then basically just fill it in completely. You might want to remove some of the rocks around and the coral, so it's not inside of your base. Might be easier to do that before you start building. For this tutorial, I won't bother though. And then of course you basically want to fill everything in with these vacuum compartments. Now you could make it smaller or bigger depending on what you need, and you could still use pretty much most of this design. As for the height, you want to actually make this 3 high and then fill the entire thing in with vacuum compartments. And there we have it. This is what it should look like once you're done with making this whole structure. So this is a big box, and this is what we're going to work with. Now you're actually going to want to make sure you unlock the structure so you can open the holes, so you can actually go in and have your nice little base inside. And what you also want to do is make sure that you hide the connecting frames. So when you unlock everything, you'll have a nice big open area. Now for this tutorial, I'm not going to spend all my time trying to unlock all of these because that can take a while. At least you can unlock all connected, so you can more easily start doing all of this. So for this tutorial, I'm just going to unlock the front, but I'm not actually going to open every single one of them. Okay, you can see it's a little bit weird texture-wise, as well as we still have some lines going on. That's because we haven't opened up all the inner compartments. But eventually, when you do open everything up, also on the inside, you should end up with just one surface. It's still a little bit weird looking. This is without the fog. With the fog, it's similar, but I mean, that's all we have. At least it means that you can easily swim into your base at any point, and then, you know, you're inside safe and sound. Okay, now we have a very big box, and that's kind of boring to look at, so we want to make it look a little bit nicer. The way we're going to do that is by adding all of these lines that you can see right here. But before we go ahead and do this, especially this little edge on the bottom, so just these quarter ceilings and quarter walls, this really depends on your landscape. So if you're overhanging a cliff like I am, you can definitely add it. If you're just flat on the surface, the bottom of the ocean, you don't really need it. So for the material list down below, this won't be included, but you can decide whether you want to add it after the fact, depending on where you're building it. So in order to make it less boxy, we're gonna go around the entire build with this edge. But first, on the sides, you actually want to start out there. So we're gonna start out by adding a layer of quarter ceilings all the way along the side of it, and then we're actually gonna have some normal ceilings as well, just to extend the build a little bit more. And the reason is to make it less boxy in the end, because right now still very much boxy. And then you can continue with your quarter ceilings going all the way around the side of the build. So you should add up with something like this on the side. So basically you have the quarter ceilings and then one row of normal ceilings in the middle. Now what we're going to do is we're going to do the same thing on the other side, of course, but in between we're going to also have these quarter ceilings on the edge of the entire building on both sides. So in the end, you should add up with something like this. Your entire block of vacuum compartments surrounded by a layer of quarter ceilings, then rows of normal ceilings, and then another row of quarter ceilings on the sides. And that is the basis of our design that we're going to be able to do on the top. Now, what you want to do is you want to start adding in these quarter ceilings just to make a little bit of an edge to your build. You want to do that, of course, also like this, so that we actually create a little bit of an edge, support almost. And if you want to access the top, this is also like a railing, but let's be honest, it's in the water, so it doesn't matter that much. And then you want to have another layer of quarter ceilings to tie it all together. So basically we're creating an edge like this. And you guess it, we need to do this all the way around, only on the outside layer. So also here, only on the outside layer, not on this little quarter ceilings we did over there. So yeah, let's get doing that, and I'll see you in a little bit. Okay, and once we've got the entire edge along the top, it should look something like this. Now, again, just to clarify, depending on your landscape, I would also add an edge along the bottom, but since that will very much vary, I won't be including it in the material list, and I won't be doing it for here because, for example, most of this landscape I probably can't place it anyway. So just to keep it clear, I won't be doing it, but you should, depending on your landscape. Now, to make this less of a box, which it's still very much a box, even with the extensions to the side, we're gonna add in some diagonal lines. So you want to find a snap point right here, click through them, and get this one and go down with these sloped tech walls, or metal, depending on what you want to use. And you just go down all the way. Now, obviously, I will probably have the edge here, so that's where you'll stop. And that already creates a lot of shape for this building. Now we'll do the same on the other side over here as well. So we try to get the right snap point like so. And we go down all the way until we're at the same layer as we placed down our vacuums. Like so. Now this is where you can spice it up even more if you're not playing on official. If you're playing on official, keep it like this. If you're not on official and you have collisions enabled, this is how you can spice it up even more. What you want to do is you want to go over here and you want to add in another beam going like so. Now, because of the overlap on the last part of this beam, we can't do this on official. What you could do on official instead is get rid of both of these and just have a normal wall structure there instead to connect them all up. It will be a little bit more clunky on the connecting point, but you would still be able to do most of this line. Now, you want to do the same on this side, but instead of going all the way down there, we're going to do it right here in the middle, and again connect it up like so. Now, yeah, so you can't do this exact thing on official, but you could replace these two sloped walls with a normal wall to still be able to get that extra shape into it, because you can see right now this already looks like a million times more interesting. There's one more thing you can do if you have collisions enabled, so not on official unfortunately, and that is to have a second row of these, so right there, and these will overlap with the sides of the vacuum compartments. That's why it's not possible on official, but this will allow you to have the same beam and the look of the beam on the inside as well. You'll be able to see it from the inside. That's why it's a nice little added bonus It doesn't do much for what you see from the outside, of course, because it's covered up by the first beam. But if you are able to do it, I would recommend it, because from the inside, it will make the build a little bit more interesting. So we'll do the same thing over here on this side. If we can get the right snap points. Like so. And again, so you can't do this, unfortunately, on official. So you'll just only do the outside beam and leave out this one. But if you can, it definitely adds in that extra little bit of detail from the inside, which is always nice. And then, of course, you want to keep the same shape going on here as well. So we'll just connect that up to the top. And then you should have a shape looking like this. Now, depending on how you build this, you probably want to do the same thing on the other side as well. Of course, if you're building it into a wall, into a cliff, you might not be able to do it, or you might not even need to do it. But if you're building it out on the open like I'm right now, you can definitely do the same thing on the other side. Just repeat the same patterns. Okay, so once you've done that on both sides, we're almost done with the exterior. Okay, then we're gonna add a little bit of detail to the side of the building. Now you can pick whether you want to do it on the left, on the right side, but basically what you want to do is for the middle vacuum part, you probably want to turn these ones into closed off metal ones to make it clear which area we're gonna change. Because we're going to add a little extension. Then we're going to place a wall. Make sure we line it up with this compartment as well. Something is trying to swim through my base. So we want to line it up with this compartment. And basically, we want to have these walls go all the way down to the bottom of our structure. All the way down. Of course, depending on your landscape, you might interfere with something, but sometimes that can be nice. And then you want to have a second layer so it sticks out a little bit compared to what we did on top. So we're gonna go like that. And then, of course, you want to fill in the remaining part of this with quarter walls so that we don't leave any gaps. But if you want a gap, you could go for that and just fill in a normal wall right across there, I guess. But for now, I'm just gonna do what I did before, and that's filling in this with a bunch of quarter walls. So we want to do that all the way like that. Then for the extension, now if you have collisions, you can just do this. Place a full wall. In theory, you could save some materials, get rid of this middle part. But just for the ease of it, I'm just going to do this and build over the little edge that we have going on. And then we can actually extend it again with normal walls. Now, depending on what you want, you can go all the way. Well, I wouldn't go over the side on the other side, unless you like that. But I would probably go, and I think what I did was go... Excuse me, sir, I'm trying to do a tutorial here. Probably around the middle of this thing is a nice length, in my opinion. And then, of course, we want to do the exact same here on the other side as well. Then we want to grab some ceilings and place them on top of the structure that we've just created. So basically just go along all the way like this. And this is also a good place to add a turret on top of, just as a way for extra protection of your base in the middle of the structure. Now we're almost done with this little addition. Just what you need to do, of course, is to close off this side as well with some walls going all the way down again, so that we, can't look into this side. And then we're pretty much done with the exterior. So you can see it adds a little bit of an extra layer to that. You could even make it a little bit higher if you want to, but this is the way I designed mine. And that is pretty much the design. It's quite simple of a build. Now, of course, where this build really comes to life is when you paint it. I would suggest doing what I did here. So the bottom, if you have a bottom layer, and the top layer, paint those a little bit of a darker color. I use black, and as well as the little addition we made on the end of the tutorial, paint that black as well. As well, for protection, I would have turrets on the corner of the build, and as I said before, in the middle. You can see I made this a little bit longer here because most of my danger is going to come from that corner, not so much from this corner of the cliff. But that is basically the entire exterior. Now, I won't be doing a full tutorial of the interior because then I would have to open up all the vacuum compartments. But I will be showing you around what I did on my inside of the build. So basically, you can see this is the halfway line. That is the little addition that we made to the build. That is also what I use for the aquarium that I've built here. So the back two compartments I actually filled up with water, except the top one, so that I have an aquarium. And actually here we even have a third one as well, just the corner. And that is because of my landscaping. It was basically coming into my build. But what this allows you to do is actually these compartments are now just filled with water. And that means you can easily swim in a tame. So you can swim in a megalodon or whatever, smaller water creatures, and easily park them inside, swim up to the surface, and get out of your aquarium into your base. And then I've had a bunch of layers here. So basically you have 3 compartments completely empty. I've singled a couple of compartments off like this for a little respawn point. So a bunch of bunk beds. I've been able to fit in the medium transport teleporter so that we can easily teleport in and out. But you could also go for a small one. And depending on what you build inside, you can probably fit in the bigger one as well if you want to, depending on what you're using in your playthrough. And there's plenty of space as well for like some forge, some storage if you want to. Again, this really depends on your needs. And if you want to have a more full detailed walkthrough of this build, you can check out another video that I made on it as well. Thank you so much for joining me today on this tutorial. Hopefully it was helpful. If you did like the video, don't forget to leave a like, subscribe to the channel, and if you want to, support me by becoming a member as well. Thank you so much for joining me, and hopefully I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.